The distress beacon pierced through the void like a scream in the dark. Arya Chen, communications officer aboard the UHSF Relentless, froze as the alien frequency flooded her displays. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface, isolating the signal. "Captain Riley Morrison, we've got an SOS," she announced, her voice cutting through the bridge's ambient hum. "Coordinates putting it in the Kepler expanse, sir. Unknown species." Riley stood from his command chair, his jaw set in that familiar expression that had earned him both fear and respect across a dozen systems. The human fleet, Earth's unified defense armada, had a reputation. They were the galaxy's devils, the species too stubborn to die, too violent to ignore, and too relentless to escape. "Analysis?" Riley asked, moving to stand behind Arya's station. She pulled up the decoded message, her brown eyes scanning the translated text. "They're calling themselves the Velari. Peaceful traders. They're under attack by the Krath Syndicate. Pirate fleet, 6 warships. The Velari have maybe 10 minutes before their shields collapse." The bridge went silent. Every officer knew what this meant. The Krath were brutal, but they weren't stupid. They avoided human space like a plague. If they were raiding this far out, they didn't expect company. They were about to get a very unpleasant surprise. "Lieutenant Commander Hayes," Riley called to his tactical officer. "How many ships do we have in range?" 17, sir." "The entire Third Fleet." A grim smile touched Riley's lips. "The Krath brought 6 ships to slaughter civilians. Let's show them what overkill really looks like. All ships combat formation Delta 7. Maximum burn to the Velari position." The Relentless shuddered as her drives engaged, the massive dreadnought surging forward with the kind of acceleration that would turn most species into paste. Humans had evolved on a death world, their bodies forged by crushing gravity and brutal evolution. What killed others merely inconvenienced them. Arya's fingers flew across her console, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Velari vessel, this is the Terran ship Relentless. Hold position. Relief is en route. Ida 7 minutes." The response came immediately, the alien voice filtered through translation software. "Terrans? You're the human fleet?" "The stories are all true," Arya interrupted, her voice steady. "Stay alive for 7 more minutes. We'll handle the rest." Riley watched the tactical display as 17 human warships closed in like wolves scenting blood. The Krath didn't know they were coming. They couldn't. Human ships ran dark and fast, their stealth technology reverse-engineered from a dozen conquered foes. 6 minutes, Hayes reported. "Velari shields at 15%. 5 minutes. Shields at 8%. Riley's hands gripped the railing. "Weapons hot. Target lock on all Krath vessels. I want overwhelming firepower on my mark." Arya glanced back at him, seeing the cold calculation in his eyes. This was why humans terrified the galaxy. Not because they were the strongest. Plenty of species had stronger individuals. Not because they were the smartest, the Quarren had them beat there. But because when humans decided something needed to die, they brought such overwhelming, excessive, brutal force that resistance became pointless. 4 minutes. Velari shields critical. 3 minutes. Krath are boarding. Riley's expression hardened. "Hayes, update targeting priorities. I want the boarding craft disabled, not destroyed. If they've already boarded, we take those ships intact." "Sir?" Hayes looked confused. "Because," Riley said quietly, "I want every single Krath pirate alive to stand trial. Death is too easy. They'll face human justice." The bridge crew exchanged knowing glances. Human justice for piracy and murder was a life sentence in the labor colonies of Titan. Mining in conditions that would kill most species within weeks. Humans lasted years there. 2 minutes, Arya called out. "Velari sending emergency transmission. They're saying the Krath are executing crew members." Something shifted in Riley's demeanor. The cold calculation became something darker, more primal. "New orders. Disable the Krath ships. Marines prepare for immediate boarding action. I want those pirates in custody within 10 minutes of arrival." 1 minute. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, 17 warships materializing around the desperate Velari trader like avenging angels. The Krath fleet barely had time to register the new arrivals before the first volley. Struck, Arya watched her sensors as human railguns, kinetic, weapons that most species had abandoned as primitive, tore through Krath shields like paper. Magnetic accelerators launched tungsten slugs at a fraction of light speed, each impact carrying more kinetic energy than a tactical nuke. Krath ships disabled, Hayes reported with satisfaction. 4 completely dead in space, 2 limping. Their weapons are offline across the board. Marine dropships away, Riley ordered. Arya, hail the Velari. She opened the channel and a squid-like alien appeared on screen, its tentacles trembling. You came. They said humans don't respond to alien distress calls, that you only protect your own. Riley's expression softened slightly. Whoever told you that lied. Pirates, slavers, murderers, they're everyone's problem. We just happen to be very good at solving that particular problem. On the tactical display, human Marines were already breaching the Krath vessels, their powered armor turning them into unstoppable forces. Arya pulled up the combat feeds, watching as her species did what they did best: overwhelming violence in pursuit of justice. 20 minutes later, every Krath pirate was in custody, the Velari crew rescued, and the damaged trader under tow by a human frigate. The Velari captain's voice trembled with emotion. Thank you, Captain Morrison. We expected to die today, Riley nodded. Spread the word across the trade routes. Humanity doesn't tolerate pirates. We don't care what species you are or where you're from. You send that SOS, we'll come. And God help whoever made you call for help. As the fleet prepared to return to patrol, Arya caught Riley's eye. Sir, why do we do this? Respond to every call, protect species that fear us? Riley was quiet for a moment, staring out at the stars. Because someone has to, Lieutenant. The galaxy is full of predators, but there's a difference between predators and guardians. He turned to face her, and she saw the weight he carried. We're the most lethal fleet in the galaxy. That makes us responsible for being the scariest thing between the innocent and those who'd hurt them. Arya smiled. That was humanity in a nutshell. Violent, dangerous, and absolutely relentless in defense of those who couldn't defend themselves. The relentless turned toward home, leaving behind a grateful Velari crew and a very clear message to every pirate in the sector. Human space was off limits, and human protection extended far beyond their borders. The most lethal fleet in the galaxy had responded to an alien SOS. They always did,